carried away.
25% increase everywhere.
Every basic ability, skill, and talent can be developed through hard work, good strategies, persistence, dedication, and input from others. Where focus goes, energy flows. So focus your energy on continuous learning and stop wasting time thinking about looking smart. Build resistance, build vulnerability, build courageousness, and face adversity with a smile. Become comfortable with uncomfortable. You know, the only person that you need to prove anything to is you. Imperfect action trumps perfect inaction. Stop wasting time and get on with it. Failure is part of learning, so start learning by taking action.
Kristian Livolsi, it is Thursday. We are back here with the hot seat. How are you going today?
I am fabulous, Simone Lord, and you?
I'm doing really well. You are in a super good mood today.
Look, I'm alive and well. I've had a cracking morning working with some clients. Really cool experience this morning. Just working through some wellbeing challenges in one of the organisations that I advise, and I've had some really big breakthroughs with some really strong personalities, and getting them to open up has exposed some areas for us to work on as an organisation. So I get really excited by that, because this is months of work, and so as you know, I feed on our client work, and it certainly energizes me. So that's why I'm in a good mood.
Does. It's like when the breakthroughs, when those moments happen, then you know things are about to just accelerate, right?
I think we've got a little bit to go before we accelerate, but no, this particular business is growing 39%, or has grown 39% in the last 12 months. So with firm marginal growth too. So you know there are challenges that are going to appear from time to time, and that's the advantage of me being really heavily embedded in that business, that I can pluck away and continue that growth curve for us. But it's very exciting. We reported the numbers yesterday in the board meeting, and it's phenomenal. It's so exciting to be part of this journey with them and to be able to serve them. So I'm really grateful.
Yes, that sounds so exciting. All right, we are here to ask you 3 questions, our questions of the week, which come from our polls that we put up on LinkedIn. So each week we are asking our fans, our followers, what do they think on certain topics that we pose. So the topic that we posed last week is, do you have complete clarity in your business? Now, it was really interesting to read that 28% of people weren't quite sure if they had clarity or not, and another 4% really didn't even know how. So, Kristian, my first question for you today is, what does it actually mean to have clarity in your business?
Well, I think before I answer that question, what would be great is if we reach out to those people with today's hot seat, and get them to listen to it, because no one should be unsure about clarity. So you can start the timer now. Clarity gets thrown around a lot by people, Simone, and it gets thrown around a lot by people who are unsure in business and also in life. And clarity is the quality of being coherent, understood, and also comprehensible. Now, in business, this does refers to having a clear purpose, direction, and strategy. Okay, so those 3 areas. Now, from my experience, people rarely have clarity around purpose, direction, and strategy, because they do not invest the time to understand the importance of purpose. They tend to lack the overall direction because they lack discipline, and they're rudderless because they don't have a strategy. And the reason they don't have a strategy is because they're always too caught up in execution. So in a nutshell, that's, I'm not sure I need a whole 2 minutes to explain that, but
it's like 1 minute.
Yeah, I think the key thing there for anyone that 24, 28% of people is clarity is about having clear purpose, direction, and strategy. And you really can't, have one without the other. And this is where investing in really good advice and surrounding yourself with the right people. Generally speaking, people who have no clarity are surrounding themselves with people who also don't have much clarity. And also people that have no purpose tend to surround themselves with people that have purpose, because generally they are jealous of people with purpose. So they won't hang around them, instead of embracing that and saying, hey, I want to hang out with you because you clearly got your shit together. How do I get my stuff together? And I forgot that this is a PG rated show, and I just
nice little correction.
We haven't been barred off LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook yet, so this is good. No other profanities.
Our track record on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. And I guess a little side question for that, does this come down to not having the time working on your business? If you're too heavily in it, is that where the clarity can be missed sometimes, because you're too focused in on all the doing that you're not having that overall clarity of direction?
Yeah, yes, but it stems a little bit earlier than that. Why are you in that place in the first place? Why are you in that position in the first place? The reality is most people start with this incredible idea, this fanatical idea about this business that they've got and how much better and unique it is than every other business on planet Earth. And then they discover very quickly, because they never had a strategy or a goal or any purpose, the why behind why they're doing it, they ended up in a bloody red ocean, right? Where all of a sudden they're not differentiated. They're no different than anybody else. They sound like everybody else because they're going to do all the same marketing courses. They're engaging in the same, freebie events that have all they are is a cookie cutter, and they give people nothing. And then people are too fearful by that stage to invest serious money with serious people. You don't get 39% annualized growth with firm growth margins by hiring amateurs. Right. And that's not just the quality of the strategic advice. It's the quality of all the people in that organization. So you got to also invest in people, but that comes down to having a clear purpose, having absolute clarity in your goals. So that's your direction. And then obviously having a unbelievable strategy to go with it.
Yeah, that's very important, isn't it? I think that's a really nice segue into my second question that I have for you is it important for your team to understand your clarity? So is this something you deliver out through to your people? Does everyone need to have the clarity, or is it just the business owner or your executive level people that need to really understand what's going on?
Okay, that's a really good question, because I love the way that you've asked it around the importance of clarity for teams. So let me put it to you this way. And again, I don't need 2 minutes on this. This is really sharp, powerful stuff. For people to follow you voluntarily, they need to have a clear vision, a mission, and a set of goals. So they need clarity so that they have the direction, and above all, they have purpose. Now, clarity provides people with the power of choice, Simone, and the power of choice is to take action. Right, it sets boundaries for people to guide them and rewards those who follow. Okay, really important, fundamental for teams. But clarity is fundamentally the critical building block of any high performance team, because it sets the standard. Okay, it sets the standard of excellence. Right. So teams with clarity have well established, and this is known, have well established accountability frameworks and get things done faster. And they are aligned to that common purpose. Okay. So in answering that question, the importance of clarity to a team is you can't mobilize an army if they don't have a common purpose and they don't have boundaries. So clarity is, and remember, we go back to the reference of what clarity is. Clarity is really simple: purpose, direction, and strategy.
Yeah.
I can see that you've got that drop the mic. You've got that drop the mic look on your face there. I know it well. That's like a
and I think for me, I think back to where I was in my corporate days and how everyone is segregated into different levels of who knows what. And that's where you can understand that that is there for a reason, but on so many levels as well, that it doesn't help with the clarity and direction. You can't bring everyone on the journey with you if they've got no idea which direction the boat is even sailing, or what the purpose is behind the tasks and how that role is working to the bigger picture.
I mean, the amount of people that are rudderless.
Mm.
You know, 79 ventures about to embark on our 80th. And, you know, I can't even think of a time where any of them were rudderless. You know, they
Mm.
always had a clear purpose, they always had goals, and they always had a well-defined strategy. And, you know, it's well documented that, you know, many of them failed. So, you know, you're not guaranteed success just because you have those things in place, but they certainly make the experience far more enjoyable. Okay.
Mm.
So, and also, you know, when to get out, you know, and that was probably the most important thing. Like with the companies that I have founded that failed along the way, I was able to fail quickly. As I learnt the technique, I could fail often and fail quickly, minimizing the risk and exposure. So,
Yeah.
you know, failure was never like, oh, well, that, you know, some of those ideas were just outright terrible, right? You know, no customer wanted them, and that's cool. You get that. You know,
Mhm.
you launch a product and no one wants to buy it. You know, then you relaunch it 8 years later and you make a fortune.
Yeah.
It's you know, timing.
Sometimes it's not the idea, right? It's just the timing that's not the right. It's not the right time.
I'm pretty sure I went through a phase, Simone, where everyone kept saying to me, Kristian, you're just the unluckiest guy. And then about 5 or 6 years later, I looked back at some of the ideas and I went, no, they were just ahead of this time. And I relaunched them and I made a mozza. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow. So, you know, even when something didn't work, and that's because there was purpose, there was direction, and there was strategy. So you could
Yeah.
always go back to that framework and say to yourself, hang on a minute, why did it fail?
Mm.
You know, and in most cases, it was the market conditions. So,
Yeah.
you know, and timing. Anyway, digress.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so my last question is, what should you do to create clarity in your business? If you feel like this is something you're lacking, what are your steps to get some direction? Where do you find that? What do
Is
you
this
start
like, are you trying to get me to give everybody a free advisory session right now? You know,
just a
naughty,
tiny
Simone, naughty. You know that I can't do the know-how without the how, right? Like it's gonna. I'm
I
just
know,
gonna
we
tell
break
the
the
world.
rules around that, don't we?
Yeah, we are trying to set some boundaries. But look, here in short, and this is going to take me a little bit longer than a minute. So, what you need to do firstly is define your purpose. Spend the time to know why you and your product or service exists, and more importantly, how it serves the greater universe.
Yeah.
Then you got to have a clear end in mind. So that's, you know, goals provide us with that direction. You know, I find it fundamentally challenging when I speak to business owners who have ridiculously unachievable goals. But guess what? I find it even more disturbing, and everyone knows this that works with me, more disturbing when they have no goals at all. Right.
Yeah.
So you got to get serious about goal setting, and you got to be able to change your direction. They're also pivots. Okay. Now, the final part is that you need to invest in a solid strategy facilitated by a strategist and growth advisor who is both a practitioner and an academic. Okay, it's really important. There are many proven systems for creating strategy. I personally, I use a combination of frameworks when building out strategies for our clients, but also within our own companies. You've sat in on, you know, we've done some of those for internally for ourselves. You know, I integrate, you know, the teachings and theories of Jim Collins. There's no secret that he's my absolute idol. Michael Porter, you know, I use the McKinsey & Co. 7S model, game theory, Francis DeFray's work, Bob Bloom's work, W. Chan Kim and Renee Maborn's work, just to name a few. But so when it comes down to the fact that I love strategic thinking, right, and creating market-dominating, competitor-crushing strategies is what I am purposely driven to do, right? Like, and everybody that knows me knows, like, I love it. And I love getting locked up in a room with other thinkers and planners. And sometimes, me, I can get locked away for a whole week with a really big client. And depending on the size and the scale of the organization, that may vary. Sometimes in Evolve, we'll do a whole day of strategic thinking and 90-day planning in our sprint workshop on the final day. And the satisfaction that comes from working through scenarios and models that create legacy and transformation is simply fulfilling. Like, it is just, it is like getting a bear hug from your children. Like, that's I put that in the same category. Like, and so you've got to find people that love doing strategy at that level, and they don't have an ulterior motive. They need that true independence to really be able to pluck out the thinking. And by the way, when you work with strategists, don't find facilitators who don't provide advice, because that's just going and getting a shit coach, right? Who just sits there and holds your hand. Like, when strategy, you want to pay for someone who is absolutely bang on going to aim for 20% year-on-year growth, right? That's so important. So, hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. And I think, just to wrap that up in a nutshell, is to find someone that can provide you with a good strategy that isn't cookie cutter, and surround yourself with the right people that are going to support you, that you can continue to learn from, which is what I love. Any opportunity to tag along and watch you in your element just makes my day. So that's really, really exciting. Kristian Livolsi, this is our 12th episode. Did you know that? Yes. No. 12 episodes of the Hot Seat we have now filmed. So thank you very much to everyone who's contributed by answering the polls and being here with us. I don't know if StreamYard is showing us all the comments or what's going on, but we haven't had any comments in here today. But before we jump off and you run off to the next thing on your day, I would love to just have a little quick chat about Sydney. We have our Marketing for Growth workshop coming up in Sydney on the 10th of December. I'm pumped. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, look, I think we talk about it every week. We talk about it every day. I'm putting the final touches to the content, but I'm incredibly excited for one reason, and it's tailor-made for our Evolve members, and our Evolve members and the team convinced me that we should open it up to the public. We've already got 25% of tickets sold. It's 5 weeks away. We only went on sale last week. We've got no capacity to go to a bigger room at Vibe, so that's it. It is a minute investment, and it is a very small investment. What is it? $1,100 for the day, but right now there is a pre-registration. What is it? 50%. You guys are bleeding me. $550 to hang out, not just with me, but with Mao Chia, the former head of marketing for Uber and Uber Eats, and the CMO at Riderware, that took Riderware from 7 figures to 8 figures, almost to 9. Adrian Lee from GrowthLink, Bonnie Louise from Media Sociale. I mean, we've got a killer lineup of people speaking, but more importantly, it is the A to Z. You are coming, you're learning, and you're getting an outcome. And I back this 100%, as you know, to the point where I said to all of you, 100% money back guarantee. If someone comes and at the end of it, they're not totally satisfied that I and everybody else delivered what we promised, then before you leave, come up and we'll issue a refund, right? I might even bring cash with me and just issue the refund in cash. No, because if you didn't, then I want to feel the pain. I want to feel the pain. And I say this to people. You have a brand promise, you got to feel the pain. Now,
Mhm.
I'm 5 weeks out. I'm an expert in this area, and yet I am investing so much time in putting this together. And why? Because I want to serve people. And when we talked about standards, right?
Mhm.
I raise my standards every time we do an event,
Yeah.
right? And my poor team will always say nothing's ever good enough, right? Nothing's ever good enough. And that's because I'm constantly raising the bar.
Mhm.
I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want a cookie cutter,
Yeah.
right? It's why I use so many strategic frameworks in strategy.
Mhm.
And I know this sounds like I might be blowing my own trumpet, but I don't know how many strategists are out there that are booked up for strategic workshops, right? And the thing is, it's all referral work because you get results,
Yeah.
and you're only as good as your last result, and that's
Yeah.
really important. So the game changes. We live in a digital age where change is it's a click of a finger.
Yeah.
So we've got to stay sharp, and I love that. That's like
Mhm.
my favorite thing. I enjoy the challenge of
Yeah.
someone saying that they're better. Then show me, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to show you why we're different,
Mhm.
and I think that it's, and I'm really excited to have an audience. You're an audience of one. It looks like there's no one listening according to this thing today. Tracy's sick. And so we haven't got Tracy in the back room, and God knows what Simone and I have done today. But look, I can't. I am so excited. I mean, you're pumped. The team's pumped.
Mm.
But honestly, I just can't wait. I can't wait to
Yeah.
rock it. And I can't wait to listen for 45 minutes to Mal. Mal's one of my best mates, and I just love listening. Oh, there is someone.
Daniel.
Peekaboo from
Hi.
Maryland. Hello, Daniel.
Thanks,
So we
Daniel.
know, so we know there are people out there watching. StreamYard clearly isn't working, right? It's not telling us anything. But look, Simone, I'm really blessed and grateful that you who run our Sydney office, convinced me that it was time to leave the comforts of Adelaide, um, and branch out to other states to
Yeah.
not just take the Evolve program to other states, because we have Evolve members from all over the country, but it's more the fact that opening it up and letting people have a peep. It's like the hot seat. Your idea. Kristian, we need to show people your personality. We need to show you, because you're this man of mystery. I was like, what am I, Austin Powers, right? The truth is, I'm just like everybody else. I just really love what I do, and I think I'm pretty good at it. And I don't care what anyone thinks when I say that. Like,
Yeah.
let's go pound for pound, not in body weight, because I'll clearly win that one. But let's go pound for pound on results, and let's line up all of our customers and let them tell us, what the outcomes are, because that's my measure,
Yeah.
and it's not just revenue growth. It's revenue growth is a byproduct of people. Right. And this is what people fail to understand. And that's one of the biggest things we're going to be talking about at this Marketing for Growth, is who really are your people.
Yeah.
It's strategy. It's really getting down to that nitty gritty, the fundamental. We call it we've uncovered the secret, the fundamental secret that everybody has forgotten about. You've forgotten about your customers because you're too busy selling a product, right, or a service, but you haven't actually understood who it is that you should be selling it to. So
Yeah. I know when we broke this down, one of the things I said about is the amount of workshops and boot camps and things that I've done that I just created the person. Like, I made this person up, and of course they wanted my product and service. But the reality for me is that person didn't actually exist. I fabricated that person, and then I'm wondering why I couldn't sell my product and service, because I didn't have that customer part right. So I am absolutely pumped for our event coming up in Sydney. It's going to be absolutely amazing. If people are interested in coming along, if you're traveling to Sydney, we would happily welcome that. If you are local to Sydney, it'd be awesome to see you there at our event. I will be dropping the link into this live video so you can check out the landing page, have a read of all the details, and get your ticket in quick, because they won't be lasting up until the event. That's for sure.
Well, especially not at 50%, because I can guarantee you, I'm all about margin, right? So
Mm.
once I hit a certain number, I'm basically telling the team, that's it, go full price. And I think you had someone the other day say to you, oh, you're not really going to charge everyone full price. And you're like, you haven't met Kristian yet. Everything's full price. Trying to get a discount out of Kristian was just like, what the hell are you doing? But look, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I the way I'm going to define success, and I've already written it down as one of my goals, is I don't want to. Will people want to leave? At the end, right? Will people actually want to leave, or do they want to keep staying and doing the work? Right? Being in that energy, in that vibe. When they finished creating their first ever ebook or lead magnet right there and then on the day, I don't want them to be thinking about execution until we've completed all the thinking.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's the key for me. That's, and that's the level of detail I go to in establishing my own goals. And then I go in, and that's because I'm purpose driven. I live for this. It's what I want,
Yeah.
and I'm prepared to give people everything I have. There is no hidden agenda. There is nothing, there is no upsell funnel. There is nothing, right? It is literally like, go out and make yourself money. And when you have bucket loads of it, and you can hire me to write your big strategy to take you to over $1 million. Like that's it. That's the motivation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide away from that. Like, I like working with high achievers. That's what turns me on. It gets me excited.
Yes.
Leave the B and C players for everybody else.
About that quite a lot behind the scene. It's the intensity that you bring, which is so inspiring and motivating to people. So definitely come switched on for a full day of practical learning. This is not just sitting there listening to people talk and talk. This is really getting into the detail and building it out for yourself. So
10th of December.
You have to run. You've got
I got to go.
The next thing on the agenda. But thank you for your time today and unpacking our 12th episode in the hot seat. Thank you to our viewers and our listeners. We really appreciate you. And keep participating in our polls, because that really helps us have these fantastic conversations that you can take away and implement into your business each and every day.
Thank
Kristian,
you.
have a great day. We will see you all next Thursday.
Adios.
Bye.